Once again, good morning. Josephus, the first century Jewish historian, says there were 1.1 million died because the siege in Jerusalem took place 3 days before the Passover, and many people coming from Egypt and neighboring countries went to Jerusalem just to observe the Passover. And they were trapped when the Roman 70,000 Roman armies sieged the city of Jerusalem because of the uprising organized by the Jewish people. Our gospel reading this morning, when Jesus was entering Jerusalem during the triumphal entry, from a distance he saw Jerusalem, the city of Jerusalem, the center of the civilization or the heart of Israel. Nakita niya sa layo pa lang and he was weeping. I think this is the second time that you can read that Jesus was weeping. When he saw Jerusalem, nakahilak siya. Tungod kay nakita na niya daan, Jesus was 30 years old then, so iyan na nakita daan 40 years from that time when he was riding the donkey and he was going to the city of Jerusalem. 40 years from that very day, nakita na niya daan nga there will be a destruction of Jerusalem. And not a single wall or not a single stone will remain standing in that city. It said, your enemy will encircle and build rampart. Jesus was prophesying. No single stone will be left because you rejected God when He visited you. Because you reject God when He visited you. Sa tumaybawang karon kung magtutang Jerusalem, you will see there the last wall standing. It's called the Western Wall. Some people call it the Wailing Wall. Kung ang mga Islam, mga Muslim, kasimba dito sa Al-Asad Mosque, kung ang mga Christian na sila sa Holy Sepulchre, ang mga Jewish naman na po sila sa Western Wall. Kung mag-init, mainitan sila. Kung mag-ulan, maulanan sila. Because what remains standing there is just a wall. Kuan lang siya kaning, kung sabihin siya sa wall, kural. Kural na lang ang nabilin sa Jerusalem, sa ilang templo. Magsimba sila, dito lang sila sa kural. To this very day as I speak. Muna mga Hudyo karon 2,000 years ago until now, wala pa gid na-rebuild ang ilang temple kaya nagpaabot sila sa ilang Misaya. Ingon si Christ, this will happen to you because you rejected God when He visited you in the person of me. Nakahilak si Christ tungod kay, as we all know, walay natago sa iya. He's not space and time. Nakita ni Christ the future, o walay matago sa iyang mga mata. That is why when he sees 40 years ahead of his time, he was crying. Because Christ is the Alpha and the Omega, and he saw the future. All violence on earth could have been prevented if we acknowledge him. Because they didn't acknowledge me as the Prince of Peace, as the God of peace. That is why there is no peace in you. Church division could have been prevented if we acknowledge him and put Christ in the middle of the church, in the center of the church, not the Pope, not the bishop, not the patriarch. If you will take Christ away from the church and replace with a priest, and replace with bishop or patriarch or Pope, our lives, the church will begin to crumble. But if we put Christ, wa man ko nyo giila, wa man ko ninyo gi-recognize. Like so, Luke chapter 19, it says, your enemies will not leave a single stone in place because you did not recognize it when God visited you. So, on the sure way for us to be destroyed, di lang ta magtudlo kung how to be strong and how to be strengthened kaya mga tao reverse psychology. Secret for us to be destroyed. Kung gusto na ito, equation. Take Christ out of the picture. Take Jesus Christ out of this church. Certainly, we will be destroyed. Alis digtaw. Alis digtaw. Be destroyed. That is why Christ must be the center of everything. As we can see, di ba, during the processional, makita na to that we are all following the cross and the gospel. It's not the human, it's not the person. Then when we approach the altar, what is in the middle of the altar? The table, symbolizing Christ's presence. And above, on the altar, we can see Christ crucified or the risen Christ. But always, Christ must be the center in our lives. Maigsoon, kung mawala na gali si Kristo sa sentro sa itong kinabuhi, ang trabaho na gali ang mauna, ang negosyo na gali ang mauna, ang pag-eskwela na gali ang mauna, ang ato mga mama, papa, mga loved ones, mga anak na gali ang mauna, you are doomed. You are done. If you take Christ out of the equation, out of your picture of your life will begin to fall. Pero kung gusto nato nga solid talig unta, put Christ in the middle. In our hearts, in our lives. Please stand.